Hi guys, welcome back to Venture Adventures, and on this week we're going to talk about some certain types of fires, but also certain pieces of kit I carry and some bits I would recommend you take with your kit if you need to make a fire in any situation. So to start off with, I want to stress this is what I take. Anything I do say is under advisement, and if you really want to look into your own kit or any training or skills, I would recommend you go see a professional, someone who does a survival school or survival courses, to understand what you think you will need. So let's start off with some stuff I will take. So if I ever need to make fire, I will take between 3 to 4 forms to make fire. The best one by far is wax matches or windproof matches, because these can withstand anything from wood to fire, from wind to water. The only problem with them sometimes is the way they're covered in wax. The stuff you get to strike them usually runs out quite quickly. So, like that. The way it burns as well is slightly different to how most things burn. But it burns quickly, and usually if you're making a fire, it will last longer. So, have a pack of this, just in case. Secondly, a lot of people won't tell you to take matches and lighters, but I will. I always take 2 of these disposable 30p lighters, just because sometimes your hands are a little bit too wet to use a match. So having something like a lighter is quick and simple. Secondly, it's probably quite counterintuitive. Always take a knife with you when you make a fire, because when you're making wood and stuff, you might want to shave a little bit off to make it a little bit easier for yourself. I carry something a little bit weird, you can go on Amazon, but it's basically cotton wool covered in wax. You put one of those in your back fire, and it's a doozy, it's sorted quickly. If you can't get them, I would also always recommend taking cotton wool or stuff like makeup pads. Obviously, if you're living with your parents or your partner, ask before you take them, but they're full of cotton wool. They're easy, they're compact, they're quite small, multi-use, especially in a survival situation, so take a few of them. But the final part, and key part personally, in your breast pocket of your jacket, always carry a tea light. Mainly because if you're struggling with a fire, you can put one of them in the base of your fire, light it, without catching your hand on fire. That's what I've just done. Bear with me. It's a bit windy around here at the moment, but just give me some time. Well, it should usually work. Well, we'll see how it works in a second when we start building fires. The key things with fire is your 3 triangles: fuel, oxygen, and spark. So you need to get that for a fire to work. So you need your spark, which is something like a lighter. You need your fuel. Preferably don't start with wood like this. You want to use something like this, get your tinder working, maybe use a bit of wax. Start getting your fire and slowly build up. Always allow for oxygen. And I'm now going to show you 5 different ways you can use to build your base to allow for the best use of oxygen in different roles. So we'll start explaining to you how they work slightly and what they can be used for. How you make a square. This is the first form and probably the most simple way to make your fire. It has many advantages. One is oxygen, because the way I build a square, there's always a gap in the middle for your tea light. Put your tinder in the middle, put your tea light at the bottom, light your tea light, put your tinder over the top. So for me, I've got a few little bits of scrapings here. If you haven't got a knife or scrapings, make use of your cotton bat or your makeup pad. Break that open. Use the tint of cotton wool on the inside, either side. Let that spark build up on top. Get your thin piece of wood, something like that, slightly thinner. Lay that across your flame. Slowly build it up. Carry on from there. So the key with this is it always allows a gap underneath. So when you start building up, after you've laid your stock things, you want to build up sideways. Not using a piece like this, obviously. Like this. So you always keep a gap in between where you build. Allows for oxygen to get through. The advantages of a fire like this is cooking. Say this was my cooking pot. On a fire like this, it's slightly easier to rest it if you're using balanced wood, so we'll take off a layer just to show you a bit easier. It's quite simple to let rest on the fire. Other type of fires, which we'll show you soon, aren't as good as this. This type of fire is very simple to simple and easy to make and to keep well stocked. Because once your fire's building up, don't worry about that. When a fire gets to the point, you'll know, just keep adding. Add to the side, add to build it up, and you slowly just want to build the fire up. No matter how long it takes you, as long as you keep that fire going, it's key. Don't let that spark drop out. Next type of fire, quite simple. There's not much change from the square. This one is a military form of a square kind of system. But how you do that is keeping your tinder, because what you do is slightly different. Instead of making it a square, you just lay your wood out either side, and how you do is we take our tinder, you build your fire above it, then add wood to it, so on top, sideways, allow it to build, and then it burns the wet down into the flames. This is quite a simple, easy, quick way to do a fire. The only problem with it is a bit of a slow burner, so you need to be a bit more care and attention to it till it works, because what you don't want to do is smother it, and by doing something like this you could smother a fire. So I would say, unless you have to, and you just kind of keep warmth, because when this burns it will burn hard and keep a lot of warmth there, try and avoid using this fire. On to the third fire technique. This is the triangle, or your basic campfire. As you'll see in a lot of films, they'll do something with larger logs, but obviously today we're not using large logs, we're just using this. So it's very simple, very quick. All I'm doing is making a pyramid or a cone, using my wood very carefully not to drop it on your flames. See, the only downside to this is a bit more fiddly to get your pyramid together. Like that, I just put one piece differently and it all fell down. The advantage of something like this is my tea light again, always handy. I can put that in the centre, caramel on the way in, and slowly build up using these little bits on top of there while my flame is going, obviously. Just building it up. How you want to do that is wait for the flame to slowly build up and collapse it. Then you can cook. This fire is a bit more, like say with a pyramid, you build it up, play with your fire. If you want to stock it with a lot of tinder so it burns quick, it's a brilliant one to use. But again, personally, I stick with the with the square. Alright guys, so fourth one. It's called a long fire. Really, you wouldn't do it in a fire pit. You'd more do it in a survival situation along your bed length. So how you're sleeping. So what you do is build it across how long you are. So do yourself in inches and feet's a log. Key is with that, what would you cut, and try and cut in your length to make it simpler. Obviously I'm not going to do it on the floor because I don't really have much space in my garden to do that, but you get the gist from what I'm doing here. What you do is, how to start is, you make the fire in the centre and you build it out along the length of your body. This is a perfect fire for heat, so the radiation of heat comes across your whole body instead of one part. So in a survival situation where you're wet or you're in winter conditions, it's a very good option to use. On to the fifth and final fire situation. I call it the combo fire. It's a mixture of two of the five we've already talked about, about the military one and the square. See what you think. It breaks a lot of principles with fire about building up. A lot of fire people telling you to make fire will tell you to slowly build up, and I would usually say that. But with this fire, for the lazy ones out there, you get better both. You build your fire, but then you've got the wood around you to either mess with. So, say my flame's not building up, and I want to strengthen it a bit. I'll bring that wood on. It's working. Still want a bit more flame. Add that. Want to make it a bit bigger again? I'll just add that on top. So it's a bit lazy, but if it's working well, just let it gravitate, because the flames will slowly build across. This is quite a hybrid fire, but it will do its job. Now, I'm going to talk to you through a few bits of folklore and survival, what a fire means. But before we do that, I think we should be doing this with a fire, shouldn't we? Okay guys, what you'll see in the video coming out in that time lapse is sometimes fires don't go to plan. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a while, but we got there. That's the key with making fire and anything in the wilderness. Persistence. Try again. If first you don't succeed, just try again. I know it's a cliche saying, but just keep trying. Because once you get there, you'll enjoy the benefits of a fire, which are key. You see a lot of people, a lot of survival stuff, talk about the benefits of fire. And let's go through them. There's 5 that come to mind straight away what fire gives us. Way to cook food, warmth, clean water. So if you've got yourself a pot or something, you've got a way to make sure your water's hygienic by boiling it. 4th, morale, especially in a survival situation. Something as little as this, being able to dry myself, dry my socks, keep warm, would do hundreds good. Just keeps you going. Then you can do stuff right. If you can make yourself a fire, it gives you positivity to think, yeah, fire, most people do it, but I've done it. It gives you ability to build. It's the same one I heard was, if you want to do well in the world and succeed, start by making your bed. Something similar with a fire. If you can make yourself a fire, you can succeed, because you know, yeah, I can't do the big stuff, I can do this. And what's stopping you the next day? Catching something. It just gives you hope for the next day. And finally, security. Throughout human history, fire has been one of our biggest tools of survival. Because when we build fire, we can scare animals away. That's why a lot of tribes still in like Africa, places, or even in the UK, if you're scared and you're in the forest, what do you do if you're camping or anywhere? You build a fire. It makes everyone feel comfortable, feel safe. In olden times, it's how we all used to gather. We gathered around the fire, told stories, folk tales originate from the fire. Throughout all histories, all cultures, one thing that combines us is our need and protection of fire, and how it guides us. From the Native Americans, to us in Europe, to everyone in Russia, to everyone in Africa, to the Aborigines, to everyone in South America, it all builds us together a need to keep warm, to cook. Fire is one of the things that separates human race, as a human race, from other animals, is the fact we can make fire, we can use our hands, we can build tools. So fire is a big deal. So learning to harness it is a key skill. But always be careful with fire. You may think you have full control over fire, but one of the things I love about fire, which makes me sound a bit like of a maniac, but it's just is unpredictability. Fires can change. Doesn't matter how much you look out for it. So the key with that is, it's a tool. It's not something to play with. So don't get yourself caught out by that, messing around playing with fire. It's fun, but that's how you get burned and how you cause danger. Respect it, treat it well, and it'll do the job for you. Never forget it. Always look out for it. Build its up. Build the fire. Treat it as you would treat another person. It needs the same as everything else. It needs oxygen. It needs fuel. So, like another survivor, it needs its bare necessities to survive and do its job. So respect it and use it. Right? That's been the video today. My name's been Michael. Please like and subscribe to the video. If you've got any other ideas or anything you use with a fire, I'd love to hear it. I'm always adding to my kits and I always like to hear other people's opinions. I've been Michael. Keep venting.